Hey, so I this is one of my stories from my childhood. Well, not my childhood, but one of my stories from my life. I got a lot of funny ones, and I'll share them with you. But this is just one. This is a story of when my dad and I went out to bring my sister back from California. She was living in Long Beach. I think I was 22 years old at the time, 23 or four maybe, right around there. And my dad, I had a pickup truck, and and my sister needed to move back to Kansas City from Long Beach. So my dad took off in his truck, and he said that he wanted to go through Salt Lake City for some reason to go talk to somebody about an investment. I think I'm not sure exactly what it was, but anyhow, we go up there, and we took my oldest boy Nicholas with us. And this is before people worried about seatbelts, so don't freak out about this. But I'm sorry, Christopher, not Nicholas. We put Christopher in the bed of the truck with it had a camper shell on it, and then the window for the camper shell had been removed, and the window for the back of the truck had been removed, and there was a boot there. Back in the old days, you used to be able to slide from the bed of a truck into the cab of a truck through this little boot. It was built around the window and hooked onto the camper shell. So anyway, Christopher was sitting back there on a lawn chair. Yeah, and sitting back there on a lawn chair right between and he was just looking out through the boot into the cab, and we had drinks back there, and he would hand us a soda or something to snack on through the window. He really enjoyed it. He was pretty young at the time, probably 4 or 5. So anyway, we head out to Long Beach, and Dad does whatever he's going to do there in Long Beach, and then we head out to we're going to go down to Las Vegas because Dad decided he wanted to go and see Las Vegas, and I want to see it too, so that's cool. So we headed south out of Salt Lake City, and this is before GPSs and all that stuff. We headed south out of Salt Lake City towards like Las Vegas area, and we went through like I think it was called the Virgin River Pass. It was a really cool roads out south through Salt Lake City. And then Dad decided he had another way of getting to Las Vegas, so he took off across the desert. These are things that my dad would do. It was fun, venturous, a little crazy. So it was getting late. It was like we were trying to get through this desert area to get to a place where we could get a hotel or a motel, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. It was really like, and but Dad was just flying across the desert, 2-lane blacktop road across the desert, and he was going 100 mile an hour, probably more, probably, and just flying through there. And Christopher was asleep in the back, and so we're barreling through the desert in the middle of the night, like I say, midnight, 1 o'clock, and no, it was uninhabited area. It was a pretty desolate area, and he's just flying through there, and all of a sudden he slams the brakes on, and we practically come skidding to a stop on the 2-lane blacktop there, and there was a flash flood. It out there in the desert areas, it'll rain in the mountains, and then it'll have a flash flood coming through, and you know, uh, 3 4 foot of water, 100 yards wide for, you know, 5 or 6 hours or whatever, however long it takes to wash it through. And Dad comes to a stop there, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, there's a flood here." I get out, and Christopher's still in the car, the truck. I get out, and my dad and I get out, and we looked out there, and I could see about maybe 20 yards, maybe 15 yards out in the water, a vehicle, a small vehicle with its, and you could see its flashers flashing. And there was a person standing on top of it with a bag in their hand, like standing on top of this little car. And they're yelling something. They're yelling something. And Dad's trying to listen, and I'm standing there trying to listen. And then I hear the guy saying, "I am a Frenchman. I am alone. I am a Frenchman. I am alone." And I start to pick up on it that this dude is like from France, and somehow he got out in the desert and got stuck in this flash flood. Now, to go back, my dad was in France in the military, and he didn't like French people, not at all. He got a lot of fights in France. He got some pretty vicious fights in France. He doesn't care for French people. And yeah, so to say the least, he doesn't care for French people. And if you ever heard a story or knew anything about my dad, you know that he was opinionated. Boy, he'd let you know. If you didn't fit right in his game plan, he didn't care for you. So anyway, Dad's yelling, "That is a blankety blanking Frenchman. That is a blankety blanking Frenchman." Dad was good at cussing. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, we got to help the guy." My dad says, "No way. If he's stupid enough to be out there in the middle of the floodwaters in his car and, thousands of miles from his home, and he can." I said, "Dad, we can't leave the guy there. He's going to drown. We can't just do it." I mean, had I not been there, I thoroughly believe my dad would have drove right by him, splashed a tsunami of water on top of the car, and just kept on going. So I'm like telling my dad, I said, no, Dad, we can't leave him. We cannot just leave this guy. Dad goes, "Oh, crap." He just says some more cuss words, says, "Get on the hood of the truck." Now, this was back in the day where, you did things. Your dad said to get on the hood of the truck, so that's what you do. So I got on the hood of the truck, and I'm hanging on the top of the truck, and Dad says, "If you see the truck move sideways at all or anything, just give me a signal, I'll back up." He says, "And when I get up close to the car, tell me, give me a hand signal so I'm going to push the car." And I'm like, "Okay." So I get on the hood of the truck, and I'm laying with my feet towards the windshield and my head down by the grill, and I'm looking, and Dad drives off into the water. And we had a pretty good sized Chevy pickup, or he did, Chevy pickup. So we drive out there, and Dad says nothing to the guy. He gives him no signal. He says absolutely nothing. He just starts pushing the car. I mean, he just starts and this is a small car, like a Honda, one of the early Honda cars, little thing. And Dad just starts pushing this car. And I see the guy scramble on top of the car, and he somehow gets in it. And Dad is just barreling this dude through the water. The water was coming completely over the top of the car. I don't mean just like splash. It was over the top of the car and coming down and splashing on the front of our truck. The water was like a wave just coming over the top of this car. Dad's just barreling the guy. I don't even know if he had it out of gear. It may have been in park for all I know. Up into over the other side, and then out of the water and up onto the road. And then Dad backs up, and I got off the truck. Dad goes, "Let's go." I said, "Well, Dad, come on now. We can't just leave this guy. We can't leave him here. We got to help this guy." Dad's like, "Oh, no. And the Frenchman, he opens the door, and I mean, gallons of water just pour out of the door. And he gets out, he's holding this bag, this soaking wet bag. He is terrified. This guy, my dad goes, "Oh," and Dad says, "Oh, get in the truck." So Dad got in the truck, I got in the truck, and the Frenchman got in the truck. And he sits beside me, and he's got this bag in his lap, and he's freezing. He's looking around, he don't know what to think. And Dad's like, just starts driving. Doesn't say anything to the guy. And I'm sure he had some French, but he could have said, he didn't say anything to him. So Dad's just barreling down the highway. He looks over at me and he says, "Don't say a word to him. Those Frenchmen understand everything you say. Don't say a word to him." I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at this poor guy. Dad's just he's flying through the desert. I mean, moving. And we get up there, and all of a sudden in the distance, you can see like a motel, some lights there, And Dad pulls up, and he skids to the stop on this gravelly parking lot. And there's a ratty-looking, motel-y looking place there. And it had one light bulb, I'll never forget it, hanging from a wire, swinging back and forth there on a wire just out by the sign. It was just a light bulb, weirdly, just hanging down. And Dad, get out. He tells the guy to get out, and the guy gets out, and he's just bewildered. He gets out, and he takes his bag, and I'll never forget, I looked at him as he was standing there, and as we took off down the highway, or the road there, I looked in the side view mirror, and I could see him standing under that light, just looking around, and sopping wet. Pew, we were gone. So that's the story of my dad and the Frenchman. Have a good day.